and welcome back to the Dreamcast. I am your host, Denise Walsh. I combine science, scripture, and stories that will inspire you to dive deep, break through your own personal glass ceiling, and design a life of your dreams. Are you overworked, overstressed, and overwhelmed? You want life to be different, but you don't even know how to get there. Man, oh man, I lived there myself. And in my experience with working with thousands of people from all walks of life, there is one simple thing that holds so many of us back: a lack of time management. We may know what we want, but we often don't know how to get there and don't feel like we can add one more thing into our already busy day. And that's exactly why I created the Dream Life Action Planner. It's a 90-day inspired game plan that will give you total clarity on your greatest priorities and skyrocket your productivity on the tasks that matter most. And now, for a limited time, you can get your own copy for free. And when you go to denisewalsh.com/action. Denise Walsh, Denisewalsh.com/action, ACTION. Put your information in and we will send this action planner directly to your inbox so you can set your goals, reprioritize your calendar, and design your dream life today. Big welcome back to the Dreamcast. In today's interview, I'm interviewing someone who believes that we can live a Dream 10 life in our health by teaching our body to heal itself. She is trained in naturopathic medicine, which is a system that uses natural remedies to help the body heal itself and balance itself out. It embraces many therapies, including herbs, massage, acupuncture, and nutrition counseling. And the goal of naturopathic medicine is to treat the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. And its aim is to heal the root cause of an illness, not just stop the symptoms. Our next guest is passionate about her mission in life because of her own backstory, which she'll share today. And she wants to help you. She wants to teach you how to have health on every level and inspire you to take charge of your own health and to care for your family in a way that then becomes common knowledge and can honestly take your entire family in a new direction. This is about wholeness. This is about mind-body-spirit connection. This is about helping your body balance itself so it can heal from the inside out. So big Dreamcast, welcome to naturopath Sarah Mokma.
Thank you, Denise. It's so great to be here.
Yay! Well, I'm really excited to connect with you again. I know we've met several times and you really just speak my language. On your website, sarahmokma.com, all the links will be in the description box below. But the first thing I see is your body is speaking. Are you ready to listen? And oh my gosh, is this a message we all need to hear? But I know you weren't always interested or practicing in this way. So tell me a little bit about what drew you in to this field of work.
Yeah. Actually, when my daughter was born 18 years ago, she had what we would mostly today even consider very normal issues. She had chronic ear infections. She had reflux. And now kids are actually put on medication for reflux. But back then, people weren't really recognizing it. And I asked my pediatrician and I asked, their nurses and everyone just thought everything was normal. And she had repeated ear infections one after another and was always on an antibiotic and was just really sick. And I just got to the point where I thought, you know what, there's got to be something else I can do. And, you just get that mom feeling and you think, okay, I've got to figure this out for my baby. So I started researching, and back then, things were not as they are today. You couldn't just jump on Google and find things. And I'm telling you, when I would search for things, it was not only out of my comfort zone, but it was very much, who do I trust? It wasn't these big names that you see on TV or on the internet now. It was maybe even people that didn't seem in the normal range of things or what you would think of as normal today. It was a little more on the outer fringe to find this information. And so it was a lot of, do I trust this person? Can I trust this person?
You said this is super normal. So the doctor wasn't necessarily concerned. It was normal for ear infections and reflux and for babies to kind of have some of these chronic or consistent issues. But as a mom, that didn't settle with you.
No, there was just something telling me there's got to be a better way to do this. I was seeing other babies not having that issue. And so I was thinking there's not some way here to figure this out.
Right.
So through research on my own, I actually had to fire that pediatrician and go to 2 others before I could get someone to really listen to me and work with me. And, I looked into chiropractic, and then I started looking into diet changes and really found some great relief for her right away with making some of those changes.
Okay. But you're right. I think it's interesting. Now we're like, oh, just YouTube it, and there's videos abound and there's so much information out there. But back 18 years ago, did you go to the library? How did you find this information?
Yeah, I did have to go to the library. Can you believe that?
That's so funny.
Seems so strange today. And then I would ask, other moms if they knew anything. I did find a naturopath in town, and that was really kind of this turning point for me where I started digging in, and it was like someone had opened the door to this whole new world for me. And it seemed like it was a secret, because at that time you didn't see it all around you. Most people that you talk to right around you in your circle, they didn't know anything about this, So it seemed like a secret. And once I discovered that, it lit a fire in me. And I just said, I have to share this with other people, because then as soon as I was empowered to make these changes for my family and to really own our healing, then I really felt like, okay, I've got to help other moms do this. And Denise, one day I found myself in Meijer, standing there with my cart, seeing other moms thinking they were doing a really, good thing for their kids who had dairy allergies or whatnot, buying soy milk or buying other things that I had researched and knew were going to be harmful in another way. And I knew they were just looking for truth too, but because of the struggles that I had been through, I just was so passionate to share with them a quicker way to the truth, because I had taken the time, an investment to figure things out. And I really just felt like I had to share it. So I thought, well, I could be this crazy stranger in Meijer. I have to do something with this. So that's when I went back to school to be a naturopath.
It's so true. Once you feel like your eyes have been opened to a whole new world, you're like, everybody needs to know this. So what specifically did you do with your daughter that really impacted her? And then I'd love to talk more about your practice today.
Yeah. So we looked into chiropractic, which for a lot of kids with that issue, their spinal adjustment. And now when I look back, she was, when she was born and delivered, she was facing sideways. There were some things with her spine that were impacted during delivery. So knowing what I know now, I knew that, she needed chiropractic, some probiotics, some gut healing. And now I know even more than I knew when I first was discovering for her.
Ooh, gut healing. This is interesting. One of my friends had symptoms, and then they ended up doing a brain, they had to dig into his brain and anyway, after all of these testings, they decided that it started in his gut. Isn't that interesting?
The fascinating thing is that natural health has been, and naturopathy in general has been saying that all health or disease begins in the gut for hundreds and hundreds of years. And, now we're finding that out with science. So,
yeah. Okay. So you start healing your daughter, you start with chiropractor. I know you did some diet changes as well. What specifically did you do for her?
I took out dairy. Well, at that time, I really only knew about dairy. And I actually started going to the farm and getting raw milk. And that worked for her once she was transitioning from being breastfed to table milk. Then we did raw milk for years. My friends thought I was crazy. I would ferment, make fermented kefir on my countertop and make cheese and do all kinds of things.
That's so funny. All right. So when did you decide to go back to school?
When my son went back to school full time, that's when I went back to school. My mom said, you know what, I really believe in you, and this is exactly what you need to do. And so she gave me the money to go back to school. And I was like, again, I was on fire. The first class I sat in, I just had never felt so at home. I just knew that's where I needed to be and what I needed to do.
So for those that aren't quite sure what a naturopath is or does, tell us, what do you do? What is that?
A naturopath really is a teacher, a guide to help you discover the root issues of your health problems, as well as giving your body what it needs to balance your health. So, a naturopathic doctor, and actually, Denise, the word doctor means teacher. And so naturopathy encompasses, it's like this umbrella that encompasses all sorts of things. So we have essential oils, we have herbs, we have homeopathics, we have diet changes, we have bodywork therapies, and above all of those things is what a naturopath is. That's what we do. We use all of those tools to help a person figure out what exactly those symptoms their body is giving them mean. And that's why, I talk about on my website so much, those symptoms are messages. Sometimes, again, look at it's like the ear infections with my daughter, people will say, oh, well, that's just a sign of getting older, or that's just, because my family had this. But science is showing us today that we can turn on or turn off our genetics. And it's really about the choices that we're making every day in our life.
So when you say your body is speaking, those symptoms are telling you that there's something deeper going on, and we often don't listen to them. So what are some root causes that you find are typical for people?
A lot of people who have digestive issues either have just a lot of stress, or they may have a terrible diet. So that's the other thing with naturopathy. When someone comes in, I could have 5 people with the exact same presenting symptoms, but they might all, and probably all, do have a very different reason exactly why. They might have a few things of overlap that are the same, but for the most part, there are very different root causes of what's really going on with them.
Okay, so how do you dig in?
Well, I do a really extensive intake, and then I look at all the signs that the body is giving. So our bodies are so amazing. They can give us signs without actually drawing blood or actually doing any lab work. You can look in the eyes and you can see, just like a reflexology chart with the feet, you can see how the entire body is shown in the eye, both in the colored part, the iris, and in the white, the sclera. You can see different areas of congestion in the body. And then with naturopathy, that's just one tool that you use to look at, and then you compare it to muscle response testing. I know a lot of chiropractors use muscle response testing also, and that's just a really quick way to give you ideas about food allergies and which organs are working optimally and which ones need some support. And then we put all of these together with like Chinese medicine, where you're looking at different signs on the face, the nails, the tongue, the skin, the pulse. And we combine all of those signs together and say, okay, these are the areas, and you'll see it again and again. If someone has a thyroid issue, their thyroid will muscle test weak. They might have a line across their neck that is a sign in Chinese medicine that their thyroid is needing support. Their eyebrows might be thinning at the end. They might already know that they have symptoms and are kind of guessing, I've been tired, my hair has been falling out. So they might already have some symptoms as you're talking through with them. But then testing, okay, this person does have, putting all these signs together, this person does have a thyroid imbalance. And then what is the root cause of it? So for some people, it's a gut issue. For some people, it's an adrenal issue, the whole hormone issue, and needing that balanced. For some people, literally, Denise, they need to speak up. Like they're closing down that area of their body. And if they're not speaking up, that is causing a low functioning thyroid. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So you have a thorough intake where you're muscle testing, you are asking lots of questions. Your eyes are open to all these things that we probably don't even know you're doing, looking at our eyes and looking at our skin and all of the things that you do. And then what would a treatment plan look like? And I'm sure it's different for everybody, but what are some of the things that you can prescribe, so to speak, to somebody who is looking for relief?
As a naturopath in Michigan, we're not licensed, so we can't actually prescribe, but we definitely do suggest, especially after we come up with the root cause and these are the contributing factors for each person, then we can also test which are the best products or ways to balance the body. So we include everything from different bodywork therapies to probiotics, different minerals. Some people need to detox, some people need to build. It's really looking at a very individual plan for each person and saying, okay, what exactly does this body test really strong for? What is going to be the best course of action? And again, sometimes that includes, referring out to someone who does myofascial work or an acupuncturist or different things that would also support what the work we're doing here.
Okay, so interesting. And it sounds like balancing the body is key. So when somebody's off balance, you'll see symptoms from that. And then your job is to kind of help balance that body out so it can thrive optimally.
Yes, definitely. And actually, the body works all the time to do that balancing. That is its normal state. But in today's environment, with all of the things coming at us every day, from our food to our water to our air to electromagnetic frequencies from cell phones and everything, the body just often doesn't keep up. And especially if someone has a lot of emotional stress, that can really start to play into them weakening, the body weakening, and allowing these other things to really start affecting them.
Now, you mentioned that a lot of times the gut is the culprit, or what really needs to be healed first. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, a lot of people, and now we see a lot more information on it. I see even MDs recommending probiotics, and I think we are hopefully coming out the other side of an age of way overprescribing antibiotics and killing off that gut bacteria. But we also have glyphosate, the main chemical in Roundup, is supposedly our largest toxin right now that our bodies have to deal with on a daily basis. And it's in our food, it's in our water, it's in our air. And that wipes out the gut bacteria as well. So we're seeing so many people with leaky gut, and even people who don't realize it. I have people who have been fine all their life, but have come to me and said, hey, I used to be fine, but now I have a dairy allergy, or now I have allergies, or now I have asthma, or now I have skin issues, or just different food sensitivities that I notice, or my digestion is just off. So all these different symptoms, and it's really because we have so many more toxins, especially the glyphosate, in our environment, that we are seeing a lot more gut health issues. But it's also because we've had years of processed food. So every generation, we're seeing a little more of a problem with gut health too.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, you think of the antibiotics killing your gut health, the food, and then, so how do we protect ourselves or heal it if we feel like this is an issue for us?
Definitely you want to avoid genetically modified products, which mainly is corn and soy, and there are a few others, but those are the really big ones. You definitely want to be doing organic with those. And you also really want to look at, there's two components. So you really want to make sure that if you have leaky gut issues, you want to do something that seals the gut lining again, and then also something that balances the good flora. So a lot of people think, I'm taking a probiotic, that's good. Well, it's good in one way. It's balancing the good bacteria with the bad, but it's not healing the leaky gut so much. So that's why a lot of these collagen products have become so popular on the market, because as a naturopath or a natural health coach, a lot of people for years have been talking about, making or drinking bone broth to really heal that gut lining, which is great. But we're seeing a surge of more and more people wanting to do that who are not willing to make bone broth or drink it. And so that's why a lot of these collagen products are really taking off too, in addition to obviously other great benefits. But yes, that's it. Those are some big ones for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. And I can tell there's so much that a naturopath has studied and learned and experienced. So, but you started your business when this was still a little bit taboo. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you got your practice off the ground in a world that was still very conventional.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I've only recently started becoming more verbal online and out in the community. I really just started with just this huge passion to help people. And it was literally, starting with friends. And part of my training was I would have to teach a class every single month on what I was learning. And so that kind of got the word out into the community right around me. And already, it really just takes people who are not feeling well. and know that they just have gotten to this bottom point where they just feel like, I can't take it anymore. I need a different answer, just like I was with my daughter. And that really shifts things for them. And they say, okay, what else is there? And now I think, it's more mainstream. Health and wellness and diet and gut healing and all these things that we're talking about is a lot more mainstream. And with the internet the way it is, again, it's so, you can just find so much information out there. So I think, it is coming to people who aren't necessarily seeking it a little easier today. But yeah, I just really started with working with one person at a time. And once those people felt great, they just told 3 more people, and they told 3 more people, and it was just word of mouth.
Yeah, really, when people start feeling better, they lose weight, they have more energy, they're sleeping well, they can eat foods they love and not get sick. And, even with illness, their immune system's better, they're not getting sick as much. That is exciting, and word does start to spread. Did you ever have any haters on your journey of people that were like, bashing you?
Yes. In fact, in my initial stages of being just so passionate about sharing with everyone, the people closest to me sadly had to hear the most, and God bless them all, because I seriously was on fire, like I said. And there were times they didn't ask, sometimes they did, and then they got more than they wanted, probably. But yeah, I lost some friends initially, and, some have come back and some have not. But I did, there were times when people just laughed at what I was doing. There were other times when, people just didn't talk to me for a while. But I guess as haters, not necessarily true haters, probably just people thinking I was strange or, that this was a fad, or that I was, just kind of falling off my rocker.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Whenever you step out and do something new, even if you've got years of schooling behind you and you've got the doctor by your name and you've got all of this experience, it's different. And most people are like, what is she doing? And is it going to work? And is it going to be successful? And so you had the fire in your belly. I don't know that you needed blinders because you were like so moving towards your vision. But there came a point, I'm sure, where you're like, I don't even hear those people anymore because I know that this works and I need everybody to know about it. So do you have a cool testimonial from one of your patients over the years?
Yeah, actually, and it's interesting. Her testimony is on my website, and it's interesting. It's about the gut health, like we've been talking about. She came to me and she felt like she had given up running. She felt like everywhere she went, she had to know where there was a restroom. She just really felt like life was being limited already, and she was young. And I can't remember exactly her quote on my website, but it's something about that I gave her life back, that I gave her hope initially, and within a couple of weeks, I really gave her life back. And it's true. It really, you take your health for granted until you don't have it. And when you don't, it's like nothing else matters.
Yeah. Yeah. When you don't feel good, it's hard to focus on anything else. I talk a lot about the 7 areas of life, and health is one of them. And I was speaking with a gentleman last week, and he said, I think health is the most important, because if you don't have your health, you can't attend to the other areas because you don't have the energy. And I know when I'm in pain, I'm distracted, and it's really hard to stay positive if I'm feeling in pain. So I can imagine that when somebody is feeling poorly and the normal doctors that they may be going to aren't helping, they seek alternatives out, and they're able to find them with you. Is there anything else that you have learned or you're learning right now that you are excited about?
Oh gosh, I am actually. In January, like I said earlier, I opened this healing center in Grand Rapids, and I've learned so much. It was a huge leap for me. Like, I've always just thought, I just want to help people. That's really my thing. I just want to help people, and I don't really want to be this huge business person. And this year, after many promptings, for over the year before, I felt like, okay, I'm being called to really spread this to more people and make this more available to more people. And so I opened this healing center in January, and that's been a huge, huge pile of lessons, one after another all year long. But it's been great, and it's propelled me to even make more changes in this next year. Right now, I'm currently working on getting some online courses available to people and having more of an online presence, because there's people out there like Dr. Axe and all these big names doing all these health things, I've learned that everyone has their specific message, and there are so many people that are looking to align with exactly what I have to say. And I'm just, again, it's that fire, just feeling like I really have to share it and get it out there. So yeah, I'm excited about heading in that direction.
Yeah, that is exciting. I mean, how long have you been in practice now total?
About 10 years.
Okay. And so you had a solo practice before?
Yes. And then here at Luminosity, I have the space to also facilitate other women, to empower them to get their businesses really going too. I have another naturopath with me here right now, and I hope to bring other like-minded people who have complementary businesses to this, to make it a nice, well-rounded healing center. We have a couple other healing centers, natural healing centers in the Grand Rapids area, but none that are right over here in this area where we're at. And I just feel like it's just so needed. There's just so many people.
Awesome. Luminosity. If you're in the Grand Rapids area, you can check that out. And then it's all at sarahmokma.com as well. But yeah, you have a mission, and one foot at a time. You've said yes every step of the way. And it started as that solopreneur. And now you're creating a business where you're connecting with like-minded people to kind of make even bigger wings. You can impact more. So what would you say is one lesson you learned this year?
Oh my goodness. That no matter where you're at, I kept telling myself this year, life is happening for me, not to me. And I think if I look back over everything that I've been through to get to here where I am and to be doing this work, that was a good thing to remind myself of all the time, because I was not a person who had the empowerment to take control of my health or my family's health. And, now my kids look at me and they say, they're 14 and 18, and they say, Mom, really, what would we do if we didn't know what you have taught us? What would we do? And I said, well, you'd go to the doctor like everybody else. And they said, no, but really, what would we do? So that's just testimony that, no matter where you're at in life and what you feel like is happening to you, life really is happening for you. And you really can step over that threshold and really own your health and own your power.
Yeah. And I think it's true, because sometimes we have those ups and downs. I mean, your daughter getting sick and not getting better, and then even trying to find the answers, and it's not easy. And in starting a business isn't easy, especially when it's kind of against the grain, and then scaling that business, it's not easy. It takes grit, it takes focus, it takes vision. But when you know. And to look back now and see, like, you can look back and be like, oh my gosh, like, look how far we've come. And you really have impacted legacies within your family because of the change you made. So congratulations, not only on saying yes to this calling, but then on scaling it and impacting more people, because I know this is just the beginning for you. So one last question for anybody who's out there that's like, okay, I haven't been feeling good for years. My body is telling me something. And I go to the doctor and they don't really give me answers. And I certainly don't want to be on all these medications for the rest of my life. What would be a good first step for them if they're just new to this naturopath arena?
I offer a 20-minute free consultation just to kind of talk through with people, just to see if, number one, they're a good fit to work with me, and if they feel like I'm a good fit for them. And also to talk about how I work and, how these systems have been around for thousands of years, and how I use these systems to help them figure out what their body is really saying. And then there's so much information about diet and supplements and all these things out there. But I think it can get overwhelming, especially if people say, well, I tried this, why don't you try that? Or I saw this on Dr. Oz, this must be good. And people are just buying and buying and buying, when really if they sought out the help of a naturopath, they could really clarify that and get the right path, the very specific path for them to rebalance their health. And I think it's really, it's an individual process for everybody. But there's a lot of naturopaths here in town. And I even work remotely with people who are halfway across the country. So It's something that is really helpful to clarify what is it exactly that my body needs. And I would say start small even with somebody that is doing naturopathic work and get some of those pieces of clarity so that you're not just kind of taking from everywhere and trying to figure out what's going to work.
Yeah, that's so true. You mentioned earlier that it's hard to know who to trust and who to follow and what to, and if you are just kind of doing YouTube and Googling things, there's so much information out there and sometimes it's conflicting and a lot of times it can be confusing. So connecting with someone like Sarah or a naturopath in your area can give you your individualized plan. So then you have one clear path to follow. And that's when you see results, right? With consistency, not with jumping from here to there and learning and
absolutely.
And double-mindedness, like, is this working? I don't know. Should I be doing this? Asking yourself all those questions. So
absolutely. I love that. And I would say too, with that brings up a good point. With that, in natural health, people are so used to the mindset of you go to your doctor, you get a medication, and instantly pretty much you start feeling better. But with natural health, you're going to see some things within a couple of days, some things within a couple of weeks. But depending on how long you've been dealing with something, if you've been telling your body, shut up, shut up, shut up for 3 years with the same digestive issues, it's not going to go away overnight. So it didn't come on overnight. It's not going to go away overnight, but it is definitely worth going this route because you're seeking healing and balance. And when you do that, you're not causing other things to pop up down the road. Because when you tell your body to shut up with a medication, that's really what you're doing, is saying, be quiet. I've got this. This drug has got this. And I've got, you're later going to see something else down the road. And it might be a year, it might be 5 years, but something else will pop up.
I really think it's important to have an individualized plan that you follow consistently. I did an interview several months ago now with a nutritionist who had leaky gut and it was impacting her fertility. And when they realized that it was the leaky gut that was impacting her fertility, she worked to heal her gut and then she got pregnant naturally. So there's just so many symptoms essentially that can arise, but when you let your body heal itself and balance itself out, it's long-term healing, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just that short-term, take a pill, here you go. It's right. Well, and that's a really interesting question. Do you want to feel good tomorrow or do you want to feel good in 5 years? Because even if it takes a little bit longer, it's long lasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say too, especially as I see people in their elderly years, if they've chosen that path of medicine and surgery and, once they get to a certain point, there's only so much turning around you can do. You can, maybe take CBD oil and change your diet and maybe get a little relief. But if you've had 4 back surgeries, you've already gone down that medical road. You're not going to get that same relief that you would have gotten if you had chosen the natural health path to begin with. So.
Awesome. Well, you guys, if you're in the Grand Rapids area or beyond, because it sounds like Sarah does remote consultations as well, go to sarahmokma.com and check out Luminosity, which is her holistic center here in Grand Rapids. And thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your passion with us, your wisdom, and I'm excited to see how you and your business continue to thrive.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm excited to see how yours does too.
Thank you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I want to hear your aha moment from today's amazing episode. If you could leave a review at whatever podcast player you choose to listen from, Apple Podcast, Castbox, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening from, leave a review and share with us your favorite part of today's episode. Thanks for hanging out, and remember to dream big.